Yeah. We at it. We're back. Season 2 is officially started. And as always, we treat y'all with the beginning of how we always do this. I am your man, K Marvel. What's going on? Q?
You wanted me to go. That's even better. I don't even know what should be with you. That's Quiet Storm.
It's me.
Wait. What's happening?
He's
Hey,
last.
bro, your mic. You're not on. You can't hear you. And this is live, ladies and gentlemen. This is why.
Technical difficulties happens to the best of us.
It goes with the territory.
Yeah, it happens. No,
No.
sir. No. This is great. Can
Oh,
I just bring you in? Should I just
he had a
I was
realization.
I was I was muted like a dingus.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
This is live TV. I meant to do that.
Sure you did. Yeah, great.
That's a big stretch
Damn,
right
wow,
there.
we're live.
And you are, sir. Stretch.
Stretch. It's you.
Yeah, that's me right there.
As me, Striker Dragoon, back in the
Oh,
house.
man.
Season 2.
I already did my spiel on
We didn't see it.
and everything, but my mic was muted, so you managed to
I
put
can't.
that up
I
there,
can't.
and everybody
As
saw it. Thank you
always,
very much.
as always, we are the four corners of commentary. Oh man, your Stretch, take it away.
Absolutely. Thank you for passing the mic to me. This is the first episode I'm actually hosting on season 2. Hopefully, not the last, but it's a topic that we've been waiting to get into that's sparked so many debates, not only in our groups, but almost all over the wrestling, internet wrestling community. Is AEW a revolution? What does the word revolution mean? Revolution means to bring about change, to bring about significant change, not only as far as perception, but as how things are operated and how things are conducted. The question I pose to you, gentlemen, one of the many questions I'm going to pose to you today, and you're going to get my input too as well, is AEW a revolution? Who wants to start first? Well, QS looked into the mic with that. You look at that look in those eyes. He is waiting without question to give his thoughts.
Chopping at the bits.
Might as well start with him.
I'll take my time.
You're gonna take your
You wanna
time.
take your time. All right, Striker,
All
go
right.
ahead, man.
Well, the question is, are they revolutionary? I don't think so. I think they're striving to do something that their predecessor has done well, which is WCW. I believe WCW has done basically what AEW is doing. The only difference is now, you have a lot more, indie stars out on the scene now. You have a lot more I want to say legends coming into the mix now, but in terms of overall for the past, year and a half, maybe 2 years now, I should say, I don't think they've done anything really to change the landscape, but I mean, that's my opinion at the moment.
Um,
So what do you think, K Marvel?
yeah, I don't know. So I have a few points that I think I can get into a little later. I think it depends on your look at what they're doing, what could be considered revolutionary, and what could just be considered entertainment, or how do you put it? Because I don't want to just say sports entertainment. I know people get really upset when you try to box them into this WWE made, phrasing. Um, but the entertainment aspect of it is not. I'm never going to say mediocre, because these men and women bust their ass to give us a show. So not mediocre. From the entertainment aspect, it's amazing. It's great wrestling. It's short but simple stories. It seems like they kind of get to the point. Um, how they're approaching things, how things are. I just think there are some aspects that could be considered revolutionary, and there are some that's just kind of like blah. You just take it as it is. That's. I mean, that's just the best way I can put it right now. Uh oh.
He was waiting.
He's been waiting for this
He was
episode.
waiting
Um,
for it.
I'm gonna be very frank. Is it revolutionary? Hell no. There's nothing revolutionary about this company. I don't see when you listen to the word revolutionary. Revolutionary, it says in the definition, sparks about dramatic change, or shifts the needle. What what have you seen from all elite wrestling? Have you seen from this company that they have actually shifted the needle or has caused dramatic change? Because as you always said, you're saying that it's about it's like the predecessors with WCW. WCW, it was all this is all basically everything you've seen already. So right even then, it's just everything that you've seen in the product is all recycled, and that's great. You can K Marvel, you can sit here and say that they've gone and they're busting their ass to like give us such a great entertaining product. Product's mediocre in my eyes, and I'm not buying it. I've never been sold on it. It's literally all I've seen what they've done is just give me another alternative for all of our favorite indie stars to go to be somebody to be what they couldn't cut it in the so-called competition of their other cohort. That's literally all I'm seeing.
But
But there's
but
nothing
how do you
that's
con-
there's nothing there.
but how do
It's
you
not
consider it being not like adequate enough to be in the WWE? You know what I mean? Like maybe some of them just didn't go for tryouts, or maybe they don't want to go to WWE. I don't think that's fair to say.
no. I think it's pretty fair because I think there's definitely a lot of them on paper and on record that have all said that even WWE has tried to reach out to them. WWE wanted them to come, but based on those creative, if it's either creative differences or I guess in regards to they didn't feel like going with the money, they didn't feel like they would be in charge of creative, that they decided to go elsewhere, and they went elsewhere, and as you can see now, nothing has changed. It's still the same thing. You have
Some
someone
aspects, absolutely, I completely
you
agree.
have you have someone like Sean Spears, the chairman, who used to be the perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, and he's not doing anything. So exactly, once again, it goes back to my point. What actually is going to make is as you're saying makes this I was about to say country. What makes this
Mhm.
company revolutionary?
That's a
This
different
is good.
different discussion for a different day in the country.
That's a
Uh,
different revolution.
I'll leave that
I
one
don't
alone.
That's
I
a
don't want to
different
get
revolution.
I don't want to get
Very
us taken
special
out so early in the
episode.
game.
Um,
Very special episode.
my opinion, just really quick. So we don't get bogged down, So we move on to another aspect of this. I wouldn't say revolutionary. I think revolutionary is a loaded term. Number one, this company hasn't been around long enough. The company was only founded 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, if you will. So it hasn't been long enough really to change shit. Secondly, being like just like being another place to work doesn't really like give you claim to be revolutionary in my eyes. That's like saying Chick-fil-A revolutionized fast food. Like Chick-fil-A is literally another place to work.
I mean,
They have
Right.
great service and great food or whatever have you, but it's still fast food. They haven't
yeah,
changed anything as far
And
as
go
but
fast
in
food.
and go
retrospect,
off on Sundays.
yeah, but in retrospect,
That's
that service is what makes it is what would be considered revolutionary because so many big companies and
because they
big
give you every freaking sauce with the purchase. It's not revolutionary. You get sauce other places, you just don't get as much. Not revolutionary just because you get freaking sauce and they say and they're mandated to be really freaking nice. They're like Disney.
true,
Disney
very
workers
true,
are mandated to be really freaking
very
nice.
true.
Like
Disney training. journey. It's true.
It hasn't like I wouldn't say it revolutionized like theme park. Well, maybe Disney, but I don't know.
It's,
But I wouldn't say it's like groundbreaking to like theme parks or whatever have
Mhm.
you. Like nobody else goes around pretending to be characters or anything like that in the theme park. They don't do that at Six Flags. They don't need to. They don't come for the characters. They come for the rides.
Right.
Like, but one of the things I want to delve into in this question is AEW a revolution or not? You know, what would make AEW a revolution? How can AEW be a revolution?
um,
Those all start
yeah,
at one.
it's difficult. Something you said, it does take years. You know, it takes lots of years, lots of ups, lots and down, lots of downs. Excuse me. Um, it has to. I feel like it needs to bring something new. Um, TNA had the six-sided ring, which in the states was never seen before, and to an extent that made it has to bring something else that's completely different. What that is, I can't tell you. I don't know. You know what I mean? I take the product as is. Um, but it needs to bring something quite possibly unheard of that like changes the game forever. You know what I mean? It has to. That's what I'm saying. Like you can't just say what it is. Like can't I can't just say it's a specific type of match. I can't say it's a specific hiring. It takes time. It just takes time. 2 years isn't really enough to go by.
Mm. Um, Sorry. So how can we change AEW to make it revolutionary? In the world of wrestling, honestly, everything's been done. Everything you could think of, everything under the sun has been basically been done. Characters, matches. I think throughout the pandemic, I think the only thing we really got that was super different were cinematic matches now. And I think, we didn't really have that. At least if we did, it was maybe like in a promo or it was a cut or something. But I think for the company, for me personally, I think stop talking about your competition more so. I think more so put on great matches. We see the high flying flippy do type of stuff, but you have to start bringing in a lot more styles. Like for example, they brought in wins and losses. I think wins and losses is a cool thing, but at some point they stopped. They stopped really caring about wins and losses. I think they need to put that to the forefront again. I agree with what Britt Baker did when she was doing her run to champion. She started to bring up the power rankings. Like you need to make this a thing, and you need to stick to it. Not a 16 win streak. You can have a guy 16-2, but you can have him lose an actual great match. You don't need to have everybody with win streaks now. Like it's sickening. We have champions holding belts for years. That you don't need to do that. You need to have an amazing run, and you need to have amazing matches, have amazing promos, and build yourself as a character. I have to feel you're believable as the audience. So in in essence of time, I'll say that much for now.
You want a revolution? You want it to be revolutionary? Hire better writers. You want a better revolution? Hire better writers.
Yeah.
That's that's as loud as it. I'd say it as loud as it can be. Hire better writers. Go back to creative. You can literally go and all you have to do is go back in creative and literally brainstorm. And I'm sure all of you can actually figure out something to make this bit different and revolutionary. It's very. It's not. There's no. We don't need to go with the black or whites or the sub grays of the areas. It's just cut and dry. You say you claimed, you came out and claimed that you were going to be revolutionary and it's going to be revolutionary, but nothing that you have done is revolutionary. So the only way that you can actually make sure that you go back and become revolutionary is you have to go through trial and error. You need to go back to the drawing board and actually brainstorm with each other. Okay, what can we actually do that hasn't been done before? You can literally
Right.
just think it up. Think it up. You can think something up. It's not my job to help tell you what to do. It's not my job. It's not Kmar's job, Stretch or Striker Director's job to actually tell you what to do. Y'all are grown writers. Y'all can do it yourselves.
Yep.
That's what you get paid to do.
Agree.
All
Hire
right.
writers.
Agree.
Hire better writers and figure it out.
Or or hire us. I mean,
That's it. That's all there is. That's really all there is to it. How to be. I was
But
like, you can ask how can it be revolutionary?
Stress,
Hire better writers.
I don't know. I agree with Striker. Like brothers got to get paid. I don't know.
hire us. I mean, shit.
And whatever writers you do have, you guys like y'all drop the ball with them. Either they drop the ball
Hey,
or you
look,
have to
we
try
already
them.
know what happened
Know
on.
enough.
We already know what happened with WWE. Listen, we are right here.
You fire
Hello,
them because they
hi,
don't know
hi.
because they'll sit there and say they don't know the product. Well, okay, sometimes you
Talk to
don't.
people who do.
Talk to people. You can talk to people who you can talk to writers who do know the product, but then you can also just all you have to do is if someone doesn't know exactly what they're doing in this aspect, you just educate them a little bit. Educate them a little bit, and you take whatever idea and you try to spin it into the product that's right now. And the whole thing is yes, it will be ridiculous, but that's the whole point. It's entertainment. It's
Mhm.
entertainment at
Yep.
this point. It's gonna be
Exactly.
but that will make it revolutionary. No,
Yeah. Agree.
Well, I think one of the things that could help is if they were one of the first truly national promotions to focus on trios wrestling.
Mm.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
we've
something like
had
that.
like 6-man tag team matches and whatnot, and 6-man tag like titles and stuff like that, but it's never really been a focus of an American promotion before.
Yep.
I think one of the things that they can do to be a revolution, and I think they're slowly heading toward it, is like doing a focus like on factions and stuff like that.
Right.
A lot of people, you'll see complaints and stuff like, "Oh, there's too many factions in AEW," and we're gonna get into this a lot later, like some of the things that we like. But that happens to be one of the things that I like about
Right.
AEW is that
Mhm.
every like in some way, shape, or form, somebody if they're in a faction and that whole faction happens to get highlighted, it's not just the figurehead of the faction.
Right.
I
Right.
think they do. I think they do a pretty decent job of getting everybody that happens to be a part of a show involved
Mhm.
in the show. Like I think they do a decent job of utilizing their roster. Um, as far as like I'm not obviously none of us are too well versed on their business practices or whatever, but I hear they offer like straight up health insurance to their wrestlers or whatever have you. I'm not entirely sure how the true that is or the semantics of it, but if it's true, it's a very revolutionary business practice in wrestling. Even though I think like most wrestling promotions do pay for the surgeries that the talents go and have or whatever have you. I could be wrong. I would have to do a little bit more research on that. But in the same token, if they are offering health insurance like an actual employer and they're not treating them like independent contractors, that is revolutionary in a sense. But again, I don't necessarily think as a whole AEW is revolutionary. And one of the points that Stryker brought up was the wins and losses thing. I only think they do that when it's convenient. Like they
Exactly.
only bring it up like the rankings and stuff when
Right.
it's convenient. Like now they happen to like Britt Break. You take Britt Baker for example, was a perfect example. Who was actually talking about her ranking. Like, I'm
Right.
the number one ranked female. I should be getting a title shot, whatever have you. But then Miro, who's not freaking ranked, gets a TNT title shot,
Right.
and it's like, okay, what happened to this performer who's now talking up her rankings and whatever have you, and is making a decent point for it being a legitimate reason for her to get a title shot.
Right.
Now Miro, who's not ranked, gets a title shot, and it's like,
Right.
okay, so the hell with the ranking, you know. But
Exactly.
as far as like being a revolution, I don't think they're there yet. But do I think they
Mhm.
have the potential to be a revolution? Perhaps.
Yeah.
Only time will tell. You know.
Real quick. Sorry to interrupt you, Stretch. Ladies and gentlemen, you are more than welcome to comment down low. Let us know your opinions about how you feel about the question, or if you want to answer the questions, tell us how you feel about our topic today. You can pop up on the screen. Be fun.
We will be
So,
sharing comments. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell on YouTube. Trying to get as many likes as we can. We're trying to get monetized. The march to 200 followers begins with this show, folks.
yep,
Sure,
you
very
heard
much.
that one, sir. What is our next topic?
Our next topic is we're going to get into I guess a little negativity here. What are some of the cons of AEW? What are some of the things that you think AEW can work on as a whole? What are some of the things that AEW doesn't do well? If you think they don't do things well as a whole, and let's let the cat out the bag. Just let QS start this one. Let's not beat around the bush.
I mean,
Just let him have it.
no, I mean, sir. No, all jokes aside, seriously, what AEW needs to work on the entire promotion. That's it. There we go. Work on the entire promotion. No, but
Entire
seriously,
promotion.
no,
You want
no.
to elaborate when you say
They,
it's entire
well, everything on
Oh,
the whole product. The product is terrible. Bottom line, but no, it's not. They just need to work on the wins losses record. That's definitely a con that's something that they really dropped the ball on from before.
Mhm.
Like I said, you can't sit here highlighting how many wins and how many losses somebody has, but then someone who has actually more losses than their wins ends up getting a title shot and wins. There's literally no there's literally no reason. Like if we're going by the wins and losses record, there's no reason that Miro is supposed to be TNT champion right now.
true.
Right.
The fact that yes, that Britt Baker really did make an actual stake and claim that she deserved the title shot because she did have unquote the best win loss record for the women's division. She made it. That's a decent point. That is actually a decent point, and it wasn't highlighted enough until she started speaking about it. So that really. But then it goes to show again, like even down the ladder, like you look at so many people who have a phenomenal wins loss record in for the world title. Yet we're over here giving Jungle Boy a title shot against Kenny Omega. We're over here giving Jungle Boy. We're giving Ray Phoenix. Like there's so many other people that should be in line to go against Kenny Omega, and they're not
Frankie
because of
Kazarian being
to
a
be
great
to
example.
be fair, Jungle Boy did earn his title shot. It
true
wasn't battle royal.
through,
To be
through a
fair,
battle, but through a battle royale. But if we're actually going through the actual, if we're going by the actual wins losses record, it's not. That's not what they're following. They're not following that. Not
It
following
should still
that
be
focus.
Cassidy. It should have still been Cassidy, I believe. Either Cassidy or Pac.
And where are they right now? Literally going
Uh,
back and forth tag team. Well, Orange Cassidy is doing something else in his tag team division, and Pac is over here having like a mini feud. Is it still a mini feud with the Bucks? That's what I'm talking about. Another thing that is a con for the AEW is the women's division. The women's division is downright terrible, and there's
yep.
literally just Britt Baker as the head of this division right now. You can't convince me otherwise that it's such an improvement, such a major improvement. Compare this women's division to every other promotion right now on paper.
Hmm. Agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Uh,
Terrible though.
well, I wouldn't say terrible, but below
They're
average.
Terrible.
they're
I did below
climbing.
average.
They're
It's terrible.
climbing slowly, but it's
And
not
like,
I
great.
think
let's
I think they need
I,
no,
to.
we're
I
not going to
think
sit here and give participation trophies of this. They're terrible, and it's
I
fine.
think that
It's okay. They can do
like
better.
for example, one of the things that I've seen a lot of people look at Tay Conti, who I think is a fantastic athlete,
True.
Mm.
and put her on this pedestal that I don't think she's ready yet for. That's just my opinion as a fan. Obviously, none of us has ever been in a wrestling ring. I'm not going to sit here and say
Right.
like that we can do their job a lot better than theirs.
No one,
We would never be as arrogant to say that.
no one is
However,
saying that. No one said
from
that.
what I've
You could have paid
seen,
me not
like
to say it.
I'm like where like people are like, oh, she's a future star. I'm like, I just don't see it. I don't buy into it as a fan. That's just me. I'm not saying she's terrible in any way, shape, or form, or not ready to like. I just don't feel like this is somebody that I have to watch yet. I
It's
think
like
she has a lot of room for growth. Um, my opinion on some of the cons of AEW, largely a presentation based. I
Oh
think their
yeah.
camera work is terrible.
oh yeah, that
Like
camera work. That come on
they
now.
do wide shots for certain things where, like, as far as like suspending the disbelief, like you take the spot that Ricochet and John Morrison did on Raw not too long ago, where he did the crossbody from the ropes and they landed over the barricade or whatever have
Mhm.
you. They didn't do a wide shot. Like they left a lot of what the damage might have looked like to
Yeah,
the
you left.
imagination, and it's like, okay, cool. That was a cool little spot, and it's like you see the impact of it, then you don't see anything else. It's like, whoa,
Right.
what happened to Ricochet? Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe like he did something like that, and it's like, oh, John Morrison took the brunt of that. Like, how did he fall or whatever have you?
Right.
You leave all that stuff to the imagination. I guarantee you, with a spot like that, AEW would have shot the entire arena
Oh, you saw the point.
during the
Listen,
pandemic when no one was there. I
listen,
guarantee it.
listen.
Another thing that bothers me is like, I think the camera work is terrible. I think they make the referees look pretty incompetent. I don't think the refereeing is like, how do you? I don't think it's consistent. Like,
Mhm.
one of the things that the FTR said was how they utilize certain rules in tag team wrestling to get
Right.
heat.
Mhm.
There has to be rules that have to be broken in order for bad guys to get the crowd riled up so they can
Yeah.
cheat, so the match can be more believable. The referees are totally inconsistent with enforcing rules. So I've seen people come in during tag matches. There have been multiple times where like countouts could have happened or
Yeah.
whatever happened have you. Another thing, and I know people are gonna hate when I say this. I think Excalibur talks way too fucking much. It's
Right.
like every time like
Yeah.
something big happens, you hear his voice first, and it's like all he does is call the moves. Like I get that each and every one of them have a role on commentary. I understand that, but I think Excalibur talks like I think he can dial it back a little bit.
Just a
Like as
little
far
bit.
as like his commentary, like I especially like when they first started, I think he used to make Jim Ross look so stupid on a daily basis.
Right.
Like Jim Ross would like embellish things. Like what? Look no further than, and this is another thing that I'm going to get into afterwards. I'm going to say this directly afterwards. I'm going to pass the mic, but look at the debut of the Butcher, the Blade, and the Bunny.
Right.
Jim Ross spoke them up like, oh, he did his normal thing. Oh, who the hell is that? Like, I can't believe these guys attack Cody Rhodes, and Excalibur jumps right in. I know who they are. Well,
Mhm.
Jeff, thank you for making your lead announcer look like
Well,
an ass, like in
Oh
front of
my god.
everybody. Like, I
Exca-
know who they
ex,
are, so it's like, good for you.
No, I
Excalibur's like
mean,
that guy. He's like that friend that when you just first started watching an anime and the show is pretty
he's a
cool. You're just
spoiler.
like, trying to figure it out, and
Right. Like,
he's just that guy that's just like,
He's,
well,
he,
I know. I mean, I read the
yeah,
manga, so I already
he's a
know.
spoiler.
And you
He's a
just look at that,
spoiler.
and you just
can you
looking at
point to
that
yourself again,
motherfucker.
That,
Troy?
no, it's okay. See, I wasn't gonna mention it. I wasn't
It's
gonna.
it's
I was. He
he.
Oh,
pointed himself twice.
It's Dio.
like it's just like, oh, okay, that's you, huh?
Uh,
Last thing that I have is how they debut wrestlers. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen wrestlers debut the same exact way each and every single time somebody debuts. This person from an XYZ company shows up, they cut a promo, they sound really angry, then they leave. It's the
Yeah,
same thing over and over and over
yeah,
again.
it's
Speaking of
Yep.
promos, please let Darby Allin and Sting just cut a promo without somebody interrupting them. They get very repetitive when it comes to promotion of certain
right.
angles, and it's like,
Mhm.
I get it. You're showcasing two people, but let them talk and do something else with the wrestlers that you debut. There are multiple ways to debut somebody in AEW, in wrestling in general. I haven't seen a vignette like since they debuted Sting, and it's like that only lasted a week. I
Yeah,
understand, like I get it. You want to get these people in while they're red hot and while people are talking about them or whatever have you, but let people debut in a different way. Stop letting
Yeah.
people just show up, talk for 10 seconds, and then we wonder, well, I wonder what this guy's going to get into next. There's millions of ways to debut somebody. Just stop letting them show up and talk and leave.
Yep.
right.
Yep.
Or make them show up angry. Give me a debut where somebody just showed up happy. Like, I'm just happy to be here, guys, and then just throw you off. Like, oh, okay.
That's
So
different. That's new.
like it's how many debuts we've seen where like these guys debut and they're like trashing the other company they work for. Like,
There's
just give me
another
somebody
thing.
just give me somebody that's like dead happy. Like, oh my god, like thanks for having me here. I'm here to work, and I'll be like, all right, cool. I guess I'll run with it. Y'all like it, love it.
If
Right.
I had a nickel for every time they've mentioned WWE
Oh
outside of
God.
promoting their own shit. It's like I would be able to pay off my student loans. I get it.
Right.
Like, Kev just said, Maki Ito
I
debuted. Allow
was
me
I
to
was
say
just
Maki
about to
Ito is one
show
of the
it.
worst wrestling women's wrestlers I've ever seen in quite some time. She still needs a lot of work. With that said,
You're
I
gonna
get
get
it.
hate for that.
I don't hate. I care less. She's
His
terrible
opinion.
in the ring. I watched that match. She can't work.
But
um,
go
I
ahead.
think that and I'm gonna stop after this because obviously,
Allegedly.
I think that every time they do something awesome, somebody just turns around and says, "We're much better than that other promotion that is out there." Like you take the first Fighter Fest, in which they had a great cause, they raised a good amount of money
Mhm.
uh, for the victims of the mass shooting that happened in Orlando and everything, and they did it really well. And the first thing afterwards that Cody says, "You can't counter program this." Way to bring nice attention to your cause, douchebag. Like I get it. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand like the constant obsession of trying to have to bash WWE on air. Like I get it. It
Right.
was a thing during the Attitude Era. They would take
Especially
shots at each other and
Yeah,
everything. But it's
this
like
it comes
the
off
they're
same
as
not
same
big
thing.
enough. Like at
it,
that time, there was a strict difference. WCW was gaining ground and was going
yeah.
to be on par with the WWE at that point.
Yep.
AEW is as far as a business is concerned. If you want to argue quality of show and whatever have you, that's a different story. As a business, they are nowhere near WWE, and they have a long way to go. The only thing that can stop WWE is WWE at this point, and it's like
Mhm.
True.
they're like the NFL; they're too big to fail. So it's like
Yeah.
it's no contest as far as business is concerned. It's like watching Samsung
Even
constantly talk about Apple when they release a phone. Let it
yep.
go.
Yep.
It really just gets weird because it's like for like especially when like some workers from the other promotion are like speaking down on WWE. It just doesn't make no sense, especially if you've never worked for them. That's like I'm seeing that in the comments even there. Like you saying like WWE has no heart, but you never worked for WWE. Like it doesn't. Why you have all this negative things to say to try to get heat? You never worked for them. You were
Right.
never there. Like it
Right.
just comes off as like, look, like I get it. That was cool back in the '90s. We're in like it's 2021. Let it go, bro.
Mhm.
Just focus on your promotion. Focus on y'all trying to be great and revolutionary, like you claim you want to do. Like focus on that. Because I bet I could bet a whole check. WWE doesn't really care whether y'all are here or not.
No.
They're gonna still be here. They're gonna still be selling, making their merchandise. They're still gonna be making their deals, multi-billion-dollar deals. This is what they're thinking ahead. They're just going ahead. It's like they're not. I get it. Like we're trying to do this for as like we as fans we want to see all this product get better. But in this grand scheme of things, it's like as the fans, we're just a minority.
Right.
We're not the ones that are we're not
Yeah,
corporate.
there's no power.
We
We
don't
don't
have
have
any.
any power.
We don't actually have the power in this. The amount of times somebody has always said that they're going to stop watching AEW, or they're going to stop watching WWE, and they still tune in next week. It just says it all in
Right.
itself. You hate watch. You can hate watch all you want. It's just you didn't do. I get it. You said it to make yourself sound. You made it to make it sound good in your heart. That's cool. That's even better. That's fine. But the truth's still the truth. Let it
Right.
go. It's not. It's really not worth it. It's not worth to keep going this back and forth and this fake competition because they're not in competition with each other.
No. Not at all.
At least the wrestlers aren't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, how do you two gentlemen, you Striker and Kay, feel about some of the cons of AEW?
Striker, please.
Oh, geez. The cons really, really outweigh the pros at this point, and it really sucks to say. I intently watched AEW a lot in the beginning because at Justice majority. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you good.
Okay,
You were
okay, my
fine.
bad. Oh, okay,
No, you
okay.
good.
So for the beginning of AEW's run, I was watching it religiously. I wanted something different. I wanted something not WWE at the time, and it was sort of kind of doing it for me. I was seeing people that I've never really watched long matches for or knew deep histories of, and then I started seeing people I knew and started seeing people in a different light, started seeing them doing different things and whatnot. You know, I was getting very invested in a lot of the new characters and whatnot. But, you know, for me personally, we had Scorpio Sky. We had a prominent, I would say, black figure in AEW, and now you don't really see much diversity. And this is something that WWE has done very well, and they've excelled at that throughout even the pandemic, where we've had majority of their champions as people of color. I personally, I get it. You know, there's a lot of indie wrestlers, and you know, a lot of majority of them are not black or are not people of color, and I get that. But I feel if you want to be revolutionary, you have other companies doing it way better than you. And even though you say you're the competition, so for me, the cons, not only the people of color aspect, but I don't like streaks. I think with Brock Lesnar having the title for a while, I'm thinking with, you know, through the pandemic we had Drew McIntyre hold it for almost a year. We had AEW champions. We've had Chris Jericho hold it for a year. We had Moxley hold it for damn near a year, if not a year. We know Kenny's gonna hold the damn belt for a year, especially with the other belts that he has. But I'm tired of streaks. If we're doing wins and losses, like I mentioned earlier, you can have a loss. You don't have to be 16-0 to be a credible champion. You can have a loss. Shit, I'll even bring up New Japan. We'll bring up New Japan. We'll bring up how John Moxley lost in the count out. In the count out. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can lose a match as long as it makes sense. A count out against a champion, like that adds fuel to a storyline. A DQ to a champion, that adds a lot to a storyline. Like we get sick of WWE doing it at some point, but at some points you're like, okay, they're trying to continue the story. Let's see where this goes. AEW, we're gonna see a guy win 16 times straight for the whole year, even if it's a questionable win. And where's the real fight?
Win.
Right. So, like, where's the real fight? And I'll bring up Sean Spears to QS's point earlier. How did this man get to 19 wins? Was it 19-1 or 19-2 at some point? How? So you're throwing people into squash matches on Dark, and I get you're bringing in a whole set of talent internationally to come to your product, but a lot of the international talent is not bad. So I don't understand how you're having people lose 0-16. Okay, so we'll bring up another thing, and that fits into the POC topic as well. You have Will Hobbs, 0-16, and he's a monster. He's a truck of a human being, and he's 0-16. Now you decide to debut him on Dynamite, and now he's the big powerhouse that he's supposed to be, and now he's starting to win. Last time I seen his record, I think he was about 10-2 or something of that sort. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't get that. If you're trying to build stars, you don't have to have them be 0-16. You don't have to have them be 16-0. It can be an 11-5. It could be a 13-2. Have a little bit of give and get. That's how you change things up. Like, I want to believe that, you know, a big guy can lose all these matches, but at the same time, the people you have him losing to, it's crap to me. Whether you're a champion or not, you've got to build your stars so much better. Storylines are okay. Character work is great at some points, but you've got to do better with these wins and losses. You came in with it as a big thing, continue with it as that. And to another point, even though you have, you know, people with crappy records facing champions and winning titles, I feel if you're going to do the open challenge format, I think that's okay. So as long as it's outlined, hey, I'm a champion, I'm running through the whole roster, I'm running through the top five, I beat top five already, I need new challengers. Let's go to the bottom of the barrel. Let me pick the worst person on the roster and let me face them. Let me make a star out of them. Like that works. But once again, if you're sticking to wins and losses, stick to wins and losses. If you're not sticking to wins and losses, don't highlight it, don't make it a thing. And if wins and losses are majority AEW Dark Elevation, or even Rampage, include some of that stuff into the product. That's all I ask. Because a lot of people don't watch these things. A lot of people will watch Dynamite on Wednesday. They wouldn't even know what happened on Elevation or on Dark or on BTE. And BTE has great storylines too. They need to start including this stuff. That's a big con for me personally.
I'm not gonna try to take up too much time. There's nothing I can really disagree with anyone. I think storylines. I think the integration of storylines need to be spoken about more, especially because of things like BTE, because of events that happen on Dark and Elevation, kind of like what Stryker said. Um, there are certain, even on Sammy's vlog, to be completely honest, there are things that happen that are the reasons why there are certain matches on Dark, or there's certain matches on Dark Elevation, or hell, even Dynamite. They really do. And Stretch, if you don't mind, can I flow into the next question while I talk
Sure.
about this?
Sure thing. You want me to intro you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Next
And I'll
question I was
just-
going to ask, just move away from a little bit of the negativity of what we think about AEW, is what we think about. So, what are some of the pros of AEW? What are some of the things that they, absolutely nail on the nose, and what are some of the things that we like about AEW?
And this is where I was going to go into with where I was feeding with the negativity. The way they do utilize YouTube to push their storylines,
Right.
that is a positive. Um, they do use some of the lesser known talent, the people who don't show up on Dynamite all the time, the people who probably won't show up on Rampage all the time, the people who do show up on Dark and Dark Elevation. They use the YouTube platform to push storylines, to push talent, so that people can be aware of them more. Even like I said, even on Sammy's vlog, it's the same thing. You have Griff Garrison on there all the time. You got Five there all the time. You have Fuego, who is the reason why everybody is loving him now, is because of Sammy's vlog. Fuego del Sol, that is.
Right.
Sorry, had to pay respect. But the fact it's how, and it's also the talent that they do bring in. The fact that they do bring so many people from the indies and give them a shine, like time to shine, and or even get a little bit experience of what TV time is, or the hard cam and all of that behind the scenes stuff. I think that is important, and that is a pro. Um, even using things like Sammy's vlog. I know the last episode that came out, Cody was on there, and they're doing this thing called the Friend Olympics, which is silly, but it is what it is. But they didn't do it this week. But he said it straight up. He's like, "Look, we're going on live. A lot of these talent, we're leaving Jacksonville, so a lot of the talent might not be able to travel with us. So please let these, all you indie promotions, essentially, give these people work. Like, these people busted their ass, and regardless of how anybody might feel about Cody, his word does matter in the wrestling industry. So, you know, he's saying, like, I can speak from experience. Fuego del Sol, Kalen King, Aaron Black, like, not Aaron Black. Sorry, isn't that a Mortal Kombat character?
That's Mortal Kombat.
My bad. Aaron Black, my fault.
About to say Aaron Black
Um,
showed up in AEW.
yeah.
I take
What?
back everything I said.
Yeah, no, it's a wrap for everybody. It's Shao Kahn's coming next. But it is using these platforms to push the narrative of stories, or it just to get these wrestlers more known. To me, that is one of the biggest pros AEW has done.
Mm. Okay,
I feel like I guess we can go in reverse order of what we did before.
that's fine. I'll go next.
Striker, would you like to go next? Yeah, sure.
I'll go next. Why not? Pros. It it became a big place to gravitate towards for the pandemic. It gave a lot of people jobs. The company themselves, it gave a lot of people jobs. You know, me me especially on the social media side of things, I see different types of wrestlers. So to see people in the crowd like Faye Jackson, or to see Willow Nightingale, who had this crazy freak accident neck injury, and she was basically going to have to retire from wrestling at one point. To see her in the ring wrestling now and on TV at that is a great thing for me to see. So a pro AEW for me has been, just bringing in the talent. Only thing is, it's just the misusage of the talent. I feel a lot of these people, especially with their tenure in the business, they should get more spotlight. They should get more spotlight. We have things like Dark. We have Dark Elevation now, and then we have Rampage coming up. If you're going to use these shows, whether it's YouTube or on actual TNT TV, you've got to give more of these people some spotlight. And if you want to job them out, cool, but at least give them a one up here and there. That's why I say the losing streaks and the winning streaks is silly to me. You can have a 1-1 at times, you can have a 2-0, maybe even a 5-0. But when it starts getting to 16, 17, 18, 20, 22, it gets ridiculous. If you want to put over some talent, have some of these no-name talent come in and bust some ass in a really good match and get a one-up on somebody. Even if it's a count-out win, even if it's a DQ win, something. But give a lot of these people some wins on the scoreboard. So pros, bringing in talent. AEW has that, and they've done well through the pandemic doing that. And I feel with that as a pro, that means you can showcase a lot more people and start racking up some wins on the board. Because now you have champions like Kenny Omega, who's bored. They don't want to deal with anybody. They're not trying to fight anybody because they've beaten everybody. And that's why you have storylines like yesterday where, the Dark Order's coming in, and who are they pushing to the forefront? Hangman Page, who's been laying in the cut, even though he has a great record, he's been in the cut. And I feel a lot more of the higher ranked talent should be in the cut sometimes. You're going to have them on TV, you're going to have them racking up wins, but let them lose a little bit.
I didn't know if he was done.
Yeah, you froze out a little too, so we didn't know what was happening.
No, I'm still here. One of the things that I absolutely like I mentioned earlier about AEW, is that they find a way usually to get everybody that has some type of a storyline of some sort. They try to fit all the pieces that they have into a show, and it doesn't feel like it's overloaded. I think they have enough of a roster where it doesn't feel like they're just shoehorning guys into spots for the sake of it. Like, everybody gets an ample amount of screen time.
Right.
There are two things I think that AEW does better than any promotion in America, and I think one is the opening match. I have not seen a bad opening match since the pre-show. I'm not going to get into the pre-show. I've not seen a bad opening match in AEW since its debut.
Wow.
And I can honestly say that. I've not seen a bad one at all. I think the job of the opening match is to get the crowd on its feet, get the crowd going, to get their blood pumping, whatever have you. I've not seen a bad opening match since AEW has debuted, not only on television but on pay per view as well. And I think the matches on pay per view from top to bottom, as far as like the opening match especially is concerned, have been
Mhm.
really, really, really good. Sans exploding sparklers that don't work. But um, I think tag team wrestling is another thing that AEW does better than any promotion in America. They do a focus on tag team wrestling, and even though like you take like the last tag team match involving the champions, Young Bucks versus Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero Miedo,
Great match.
um, I think that even though that Kingston and Penta team were kind of a hodgepodge and just put together out of necessity. Obviously,
Mm.
they're not each other's regular tag team partners. Kingston tags with Moxley, Penta tags with Ray Phoenix.
Phoenix,
Obviously,
right?
everybody knows that. But I feel like just for the sake of the storyline that they both have a beef against the Young Bucks, I think that it works, and I think
Mhm.
that they did a good job of teaming together, and I think that the storyline in general is intriguing.
Right.
Another thing that I do happen to like about AEW is the fact of how they integrate like legends with younger talents. I like
Right.
that they have a focus on managers. I think
Right.
managers is a lost art in wrestling. I think that it needs to come back as a whole, and I think AEW does a good job of utilizing, some of the pairings that they have in AEW. For example, I love the pairing of Jade Cargill and Smart Mark Sterling. I think that it just works. He looks like the type of manager that should be with her. I think that the dynamic physically works because she looks like she can kick his ass. Um, I think that Don Callis, as far as like a pure manager in the sense, is probably the best out of anybody not named Paul Heyman.
Right.
And I think
Wow.
that the heel dynamic that he has with Kenny Omega works. And I
Yep.
think that he does a good job of transferring his heat onto Kenny Omega. Now,
Absolutely.
do I think that Kenny Omega is? I think he's doing an okay job as champion. I think that he's a little too goofy at times for my taste,
Yeah.
but I think Callis does such a good job as a heel that it doesn't. He doesn't plat like his floor. I think Kenny Omega as a heel is enhanced because of Don Callis.
Right.
Like
Right.
if Kenny Omega was by himself, none of the shit that he was doing, I think, would work. I think Don Callis helps him out tremendously just from the standpoint of being a heel. Um, as far as like another pro is concerned, I do like the fact that their roster is diverse in terms of size.
Mhm.
There are smaller guys, there are much larger guys, and I think that they do a good job of putting them together seamlessly. Like you look
Right.
at WWE, they separate the cruiserweights from everybody, and I think that's stupid. I
Mhm.
think that AEW not having weight classes, for example, doesn't allow their roster is a lot smaller than WWE's naturally, even though WWE has gotten a lot smaller in the last decade or so.
Right.
But I think that in AEW is a little bit more glaringly obvious. Like a guy like Billy Gunn, like I saw Billy Gunn in like one of their earlier shows in a battle royal, and he essentially was like the giant of the battle royal. And Billy
Right.
Gunn was like
Yeah.
he's a big guy. Don't get me wrong. Billy Gunn is a huge man. He's 6'5" and he's like 270. But it's not necessarily somebody that's seen as like this towering giant in the world of wrestling. He like made everybody look like a dwarf, which is kudos to his, physical condition, even in his age or whatever have you. He's better, way better condition than us, for example. Even though that's not saying much. But
Right.
with that said, I think they do a great job of diversifying their roster. Like somebody like Darby Allin could go up against Lance Archer and have a believable match, and I think that it
Mhm.
Yeah.
works. So that's one of the absolute cons I like about AEW is that you're not necessarily going to see two guys of the same size always wrestling. It's always going to be physically diverse. I think it's always going to be versatile in the ring, and I happen to enjoy most of the product from an in ring standpoint.
Okay.
I would say another pro. I would say that I do like about AEW is that they have they do seem like they have a very tight knit family dynamic. It's when I say it's tight knit a family dynamic, I'm talking about like they really do stick by as it seems they really stick by the families of said wrestlers that would have unfortunately happen to pass on. As you, for instance, you see with Brody Lee, rest in peace to him.
Rest in
They
peace.
they've always they've done right by his family. They still have done right by his family since from the point of they retiring the original TNT title to be seem like he will always have that, to the point of they gave his son basically gave his son a job. Like his son is
Yeah.
on contract with
Excuse
WWE now, working with them. Like that's they're making sure financially, like by the time he's like 18, he's gonna be set. Like he gets to come in here, like basically live out his dad's dream. Also, like you're gonna get a set a percentage every time until by the time he gets older, then you see like it comes to fruition, like it flourishes. So I think like that family, and they treat them just like their family. Like I think like that family dynamic to me, that's that's always been pretty dope. So I think that's one thing I could give a pro that I give respect and kudos to AEW
me. Yep.
for. Like they really will, like they say they're going to, if they say on the personal tip they're going to do something like that, they're going to do it.
Right.
Maybe on screen it's it's a little shaky, but on like serious situations like that, they really do it. And it's not just like the company itself, it's the wrestlers or their workers. Like they really like all pitch it. That's from what I've seen.
Right. Stretch.
Well, let's get into with everybody's thoughts on some of the pros and cons. Let's get into our final question of the day. Where do you see AEW in the future? Will they improve their product? Will they grow from where they are? Or will they fade away into the wrestling abyss like so many other companies have in the past? It's not easy to sustain a wrestling company, ladies and gentlemen. It is a very niche product, especially in America. It's not necessarily seen all the time as a legitimate sport. Where do you see AEW maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe even 2 years from now?
Mm.
I still see AEW is going to be, they'll still be there. They'll still be around. I don't see them going into the dust as much as like their product is like a little shaky for right now. They won't go, not going to go into dust because honestly, they're getting funded by a billionaire. So it's just, they're really getting funded by a billionaire who just so happens to be a wrestling mark. So there's not, you can't beat that. You
Okay.
get the best of both worlds for that one. But I think,
Sponsor us. Hashtag sponsor us, Tony Khan.
I don't need your money. I don't need
Can
your
we
money.
start that? Can we start
No,
that?
Hashtag sponsors Tony Khan.
why not?
I'm on board with that.
I'm for that.
I mean, I guess.
He
I
might
was about
not
to say,
want to do it after this episode, but I'm on board
well,
with that.
but it's honestly true.
Constructive criticism, I'd say. But
But I mean, I see in about 5 years, I would think they will figure it out to actually build up their stars the way they're supposed to be built. Like,
mhm.
I feel like they will probably really do implement the wins and losses record way better than what's been going on for the past 2 years.
Yep.
And I think after they probably will, I'm not gonna say I don't believe. Do I think the women's division is gonna, like, it may improve. It's not gonna be stellar, but it probably will be improved because it seems like they have this formula that they're just gonna go with, and they're just probably gonna stick with that. Their tag division is probably is probably gonna end up really main eventing a lot of, not they do main event shows, but they're probably going to end up main eventing a lot of pay per views. Or it's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if I start seeing the tag teams wrestling like main eventing their actual like pay per views or like their big shows like
Mhm.
Revolution or like
All
Double or
out.
Nothing. Or, yeah, like Double or Nothing. Like I can see that happening. I don't. It's the sky's the limit. I mean, but as long as they have the funding and Tony Khan, they're perfectly fine. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to be like, it's not going to be like Ted Turner, like where he just ups and gives up WCW. It's not going to be like Dixie Carter, where what she did with TNA. I think they'll be safe.
I think I agree with you on a lot of points. I think as long as nobody gets becomes greedy, I think that a lot of the time that ends up being the downfall of a lot of companies. Is greed. So maybe maybe just if they keep it like that and focus on the wrestling and focus on just the little tweaks. It's just little tweaks that they need to
Yeah,
fix. Little tweaks from production, little tweaks from the roster aspect, the wins and losses. We talked about that. I think it's just little things that they need to fix. Um, but I'd see them doing nothing but amazing things. They still have a lot of matches they haven't touched yet. Throughout the history and the annals of wrestling, they're about to have their first casket match, which to me is a big deal. I think QS would appreciate
Coffin.
that. Excuse me,
It's a
Coffin.
coffin.
coffin
Excuse me. Excuse
match.
What did I call it?
Yes,
Casket.
Yes. A
Sorry.
lot of
yes,
people out
yes.
there don't
Trade,
realize there is a
trademarking,
difference between
trademarking.
a coffin and a casket.
Yeah, no, you're
It's
right.
two
I
different things.
apologize. I apologize.
Two different
You're
things,
about
yo.
that. Yeah, you're right. I apologize. They're about to have their first coffin match. Um, but I think like I said, there's just a lot of room. Stupid. I think there's a lot of room to grow. Um, it's really just taking everything one step at a time and doing things like, excuse me, I'm sorry, doing things like not necessarily paying attention to the competition, staying, just focusing on AEW and keeping, they've said it before, even though they continue to bring them up, wrestling is for everybody. Us having all of these choices of promotions to watch is a blessing, not a curse.
Definitely.
So just enjoy the product. And I think as long as they continue to have fun, when it boils down to it, little tweaks will be fixed. But that they just have they can't stop. They have nothing but room to grow.
Right. As for me, I think with the trajectory they're on right now, this is just going to be an elite year, and I get it. We had a whole maybe year and change without the elite in the major title scene. So
Mm.
you're gonna see Kenny, you're gonna see the Bucks have championships matches, you're gonna see plenty of them. You're gonna see hijinks, you're gonna see shenanigans, you're gonna see a lot of BS. But this will be an elite year or a super elite year. But I feel to whomever they drop the titles to next, that is the start of really building your champions, building your roster, building your faces of the company. We already know Jungle Boy's on his way. We already know Darby's on his way. We already know we have FTW. We have the FTW crew, on their way. We have the Dark Order, might be pushing to be something serious again with this Kenny Omega storyline. We have the best friends, they're building themselves as a great trio. We might even see trios titles. Hopefully, that's what they were teasing for the longest while. I don't think they should do women's tag titles just yet. They should definitely, build a women's division. I think you have a bunch of stars or a good set of stars in the women's division. Build those characters. Get the wrestling better. Hire some wrestling coaches for the women. You understand what I mean? Make stuff as best as you can, as best as
You should
possible.
have that.
But in the next 2 years, I think we will have an established new face of the company. And my hot take, my prediction, I think it's Jungle Boy. I think it's Jungle Boy. That is the future of the company, regardless to how you may feel about Marco Stunt. Uh, Even though Luchasaurus is beloved, I think Jungle Boy is by far the perfect start of a revolution, if I may say so myself. And please, AEW, you started something with Scorpio Sky. I appreciate that Ethan Page is there with him and we have this tag team. But Scorpio Sky was on his way to single stardom. Please strap the rocket on the back of that man. He's an athletic genius. He
Reach for the
he's
sky.
he's pretty good on the mic. A lot of people may say he's okay. I think he's pretty good on the mic. He needs to have a passion for something. Give him some passion about something. You'll see some greatness on the mic from that man. You heard it here first. But please, if you're trying to diversify, please push that man first. Push that man first. If you're trying to diversify and get people of color out there, diversified. The women's division has diversified. You've seen everybody from different countries, different wherever, and different, backgrounds. But the men's division, you need to sprinkle, a lot more people of color and different countries and whatnot in there. But definitely the next 2 years, I think you'll see AEW in a better spotlight. They're getting there. It's taking them some time, but I think the champions they have now can push them and elevate them to the next step.
Really quickly before we sign off, I do see AEW growing. I do see AEW getting better. I'm going to make a hot take, and it's not necessarily from a wrestling fan standpoint, but from a business standpoint. I think they're going to have an international show in the next 2 to 3 years. I think that's their next step as far as like expanding. I think they have a national television audience. Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure they already confirmed that
It was
either
London, right?
by the
Or
end of the
UK?
year, or yeah, by the end of this year, or
End of this year.
or the beginning of next year, or something like that, or mid next year, something. But they're already planning a trip to the UK like fairly soon.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I
I
think
believe
it's
the Khans own a soccer team in the UK. I forgot
They
which
might
one.
own Arsenal, but I'm not sure. I could be
I'll
wrong.
have to
I'm
look that up.
probably wrong.
Yeah,
People, please tell me I'm wrong.
Correct us in the comments
we're,
on everything.
if there's any football fans, when we say
Thank you for
football, we
calling
actually
football,
mean
sir.
yes, we actually soccer
Yeah,
for us
res-
Yankees up north.
Respect.
If there's any soccer/football fans out there, please let us know. Because we have
Fans,
no.
comment in the
I'm
chat.
largely ignorant to the ways of football and soccer, so I can't tell you anything. But
We have Google. This is a thing.
yes, we do have Google, we do have smartphones. With that said, I do see them having more international expansion and more international influence. I'm not sure what their business looks like outside of the U.S., but I do see them expanding, maybe getting some shows out, maybe in the UK, like was mentioned, maybe Japan, because they have done some crossover stuff with New Japan. I see them doing a lot more crossover stuff too with other promotions. I wouldn't be surprised, regardless of how I may feel about what they've been doing with Impact and whether it's been good or not or whatever have you. I do see them doing some more stuff like that, and I think it's helped Impact a little bit. Maybe not in a way like I don't think Impact has been presented in a way where they feel like a threat or any of the wrestlers in any way, shape, or form against AEW. But that's another conversation for another day. But I do feel like it's good for the business for two companies like that to be working together, and I think that the exposure that both companies have got, for better or worse, has worked, and a lot more people were talking about the storyline at some point. So I do see them collaborating with a lot more promotions, and I do see a lot more AEW superstars working elsewhere, as far as just making appearances here and there, indie, whatever have you, or other established promotions, whether it be ROH, or maybe NWA or MLW. It's a possibility out there, and I would be excited for it. But I see AEW having nothing but upward trajectory. I think they're heading in the right direction as far as their in-ring product is concerned. Regardless of what I may think about it, is production-wise or its creativity, I do think that it just existing is a good thing for the business, and I see nothing but good things for AEW.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to season 2. This is going to be a fun ride. We got a lot of things coming up, a lot of things planned. Our next episode will be in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. So be ready, be prepared, and we will
July
do this like
16th.
we always. There you go, July 16th. That
July
would be
16th.
That is in fact 14 days.
Yep, that would be season 2, episode 2. It's coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, or just gentlemen, why don't y'all hit them with your socials? Striker
Absolutely.
or someone, I don't know.
Well, Striker Dragoon, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitch. I will be streaming very soon for Twitch. Just wait on it. Things are coming along. But follow me there. You'll see me sometime soon. Other than on the podcast, just follow me on Twitter. I post a lot. That's it.
I post a lot. That's it.
I post a lot. That's it.
Right, right.
I knew.
Great times, good times.
As you know, You can follow. You already know for Instagram, Twitter. You already know. You can follow me at Forever Thiefin. Instagram. I'm always posting. Sundays is usually Ratchet Sundays. If you know, you know.
Yep. Yep.
I know.
If you know, you know. Just keep that.
Cabaret.
Just I keep that in mind. Oh no, we're not giving her any free promo.
we not giving flowers out right now.
You're
Must
not
not
gonna
be.
have
No.
you're not gonna have her attorneys come after me. But
Mhm.
we give. Yeah, I do Ratchet Sundays always. And I do any type of commentary. Just just check the stories. Follow me over there. Like I said, you're not gonna get any of our personal socials because we don't know y'all like that. And
Exactly.
9 times out of 10, we probably don't like y'all like that either. But we thank you as always, and
Thank you.
thank you guys for being with us. Thank you for coming in. Season 2 is going to be a wild ride. Just expect the unexpected. You never know
Yep.
who
Yeah.
we're going to guess,
You never know who's gonna pop in.
and that's all I got to say.
Well, you can always check me on Instagram. That'll be down there in about less than 3 seconds. Very good, very quick fingered on that one. Hey Marvel, thank you very much. You can also check me on the Views from Drew podcast as well. It's another podcast initiative that I have that I'm pushing out there. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get podcasts near you. And the dog is so excited for the podcast that they're expressing themselves as well. You hear it in the background, folks. Let me hear it one time, dog.
Yo.
Nope, he stopped.
Wow.
Wait, he'll probably start.
And that's
There we
it.
go. There we go. The
There you
dog is
go.
excited. You hear it.
No response, I tell
I
you.
don't even know
Sound
if I
delay.
can do
Sound
mine.
delay.
It'd be
I
a
don't know
whole
if I
dog
could do
show.
mine over this dog barking, but as always, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Marvel 87. I am trying to be more active with my social media, so come
Yeah.
on, come talk, let's chat it up about all things
Yeah.
video games, anime, wrestling, anything nerd culture, anything music. I'm down to chat. Also, we just want to shout out a couple people real quick. Janelle from HR, Jobber Tears. They got a show coming out. They have a wrestling show
Mhm.
on June 31st.
Indeed.
So be on the lookout for that. It's them with Battle Club Pro. Battle Pro Club? Battle Club Pro. Said that
Pro,
right.
pro, pro.
um, so be on the lookout for them. Dirty Heels. What's up, brothers? As always, we appreciate y'all. So always look out for the Heels podcast. The Fillmore Boys. What's going on, bros?
You already
We
know.
appreciate you. There you go. There's the merch.
Appreciate your
There
shirt.
is the
Merch, right?
merch.
Get
Got
that merch out
if
there.
y'all can. Get that merch if y'all can.
There's the merch.
Yep.
Shout outs to y'all. Shout outs to
So
Phil.
shout outs to y'all. Shout outs to what's going on. We have too many. We just have too many. We have too many collaborators, which is about to get real exciting. So as always, you can follow Four Corners of Commentary on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitch, on Twitter, just everything. And as always, you can find us on all your listening social media or listening podcast headphone
Streaming
speaker
services.
thing
Wherever you get
streaming.
your
Damn
podcast
it.
information from,
Yeah.
y'all see it down there. Y'all can read
Y'all
YouTube,
got it.
Spotify,
Yeah,
Apple Music,
officially.
Google Podcasts, and Audible. And we coming to much more to y'all. Y'all see what it is. Four corners
Yep.
of commentary,
Four.
baby. We out.
Before.
Before.
Later, y'all.
Before.
I can't even get it out. I can't do it.
That's
Oh,
what
geez.
he